Hello and welcome, family, to another episode of Wake Up Africa. My name is Dr. Mumbi Saraki. How you doing? How's everything going? I really do pray that you are moving into your narrative, that you're going deeper into really seeing life and designing life on your own terms. We really want to thank every single person that has subscribed to our YouTube channel. And we have started a Wake Up Africa podcast, which is basically going to be about the news and going more in depth in the news. So definitely check that out. And if you're listening to the podcast now, definitely consider following us, family. We really want to send a special shout out to everyone that has donated to the channel recently, everyone that has supported us on Patreon, family. We did share how, there's more censorship going on, and so any way that you can help us to continue to bring the news, definitely consider doing that. But you can find us. We're going to be expanding our programming now and going more into podcasts where we can explain and go even more in depth about some of these things that they don't want us to know about. But those are definitely stories for other days, family. Super special shout out to Donald Jones, Paulette Philo, Primary Instruction, Earth Outreach, Penny Phillips, Caroline Ford, and many others who have really come through to support us at such a time as this. So, no surprise here, family. Absolutely no surprise here. The Belgian King failed to apologize on his trip to the Democratic Republic of Congo. Many were holding their breath. Many of us hope that's the actual reason why Tshisekedi invited him to the Democratic Republic of Congo to begin with. And remember that Philippe is actually the great-grandnephew of King Leopold II, who was responsible for about 10 million deaths in the Democratic Republic of Congo, a place that he ruled, but get this, never visited, which is why, why there's some controversy. Excuse me. Which is why there's been some controversy over, the Belgian king refusing to apologize for the crimes that they committed. But I told you, family, and maybe I'll do like a deeper show, a deeper podcast on this. It's all about the ramifications, what apologizing means. You see, as long as you don't say you're sorry, then there's no compensation that has to be paid. And there's no ownership that has to be paid. The narrative remains as it is. The spell remains intact. The spell remains on the people. Because you have this narrative that is still being perpetuated and glossed over of conquest. And that's why they don't apologize, family, because for them it's like it was a conquest. They conquered a nation. You've never seen them apologizing to each other. You think Europe is at peace? The French and the Italians and the British, none of them really get along, family. And they've had some brutal wars. And so we have to start to understand then overstand and understand. The reason these guys don't apologize is, number one, because they don't want to pay any reparations or anything. And number two, because then that narrative is gone and everything changes. Because if they have to admit to the brutality, not even admit, because he actually did admit, he said, that his the country's colonial past in Congo was based on racism, and he was trying to basically undo his predecessors' misdeeds in the 20th century, his grand uncle Leopold II, and he said his country takes full responsibility for the past deeds, but he did not apologize for the mistakes which have been documented, including ethnic cleansing, plunder, and torture. So what is behind this psyche of, I take full responsibility that our country killed 10 million of your people, documented, so this is no conspiracy theory, this is no making this up, documented, to the point where he was known as the butcher. So why take full responsibility but not apologize? Does that mean there's no guilt? Like it's like you lost a conquest? You see, family, the reason I keep stressing this is because we are in a war of narratives. And for us to overcome the mental colonization that we've been under, we have to really see the architects of this current Babylon matrix system for who they really are. And understand that they are warring nations. Maybe they don't apologize because they don't think there's anything to apologize for. Because I told you, it's all about conquest and fighting the enemy. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Because, I mean, he reiterated his sincere regrets for the wounds of the past, but failed to say just those two little words, family. I'm sorry. Like, he didn't say that, and that's what a lot of people were expecting. And, and he was just saying, okay, we regret what happened. We take full responsibility. Let's start a new chapter of peace. And some historians, who estimated that 10 million Congolese died or disappeared as a result of the repression of the time when King Leopold was in charge of the Belgian Congo. All kinds of atrocities were committed. And there was a voice, there was among the normal people and among the opposition, there was this attitude that we cannot move forward without an apology. And one guy, Francis Muyamba, who's a vocal Congolese politician in Kinshasa, he said, we will never look to the future without an apology and reparations from Belgium. She argued, sorry, it's actually a woman, whoops. She actually argued that Belgium had slowed down discussions on compensation. And to be honest, family, the reason that he even went there is because he was invited by Tshisekedi with the Belgian Prime Minister Alexander De Croo, who actually in her speech said, we look to the future with a strong desire to cooperate and further enrich the human ties that exist between Belgium and the Democratic Republic of Congo. And this, I'm actually reading this from an East African newspaper, and it talks about how the King's trip was nonetheless historic for both the Democratic Republic of Congo and Belgium, and they both expressed their desires for the two countries to open a new chapter, and they gave speeches at the People's Palace, and it was the first time basically for a Belgian monarch to address Congolese citizens since the controversial speech by King Baudin on June 30th, 1916. On the occasion of Congo's independence. And the controversy was he actually, on that day, he praised what King Leopold had done. He praised King Leopold's regime. So why not apologize, family? Why take full responsibility but not apologize? What kind of psyche is that? It's definitely narcissistic. But what kind of psyche? And you see, that's what we have to go deeper into, because I really believe that this was a massive miss for Tshisekedi. And it's like these current puppet presidents are not reading the signs of the time. Because on the ground, there was a show that I watched either on BBC or CNN, and they were talking about how, the mood was different. People were more like, why is he coming? And we're going to have to spend all this money on extra police, extra security, extra this, extra that, when we need that money for ourselves, for our schools, for our hospitals, and he's not even bringing money. The only thing he brought, he didn't even bring Lumumba's tooth, family. The only thing he brought was a mask that he loaned indefinitely to the Congolese Museum. Family, what do you really think this is about? And do you know that Belgium recently opened one of the biggest museums on Africa? So this was almost like a slap in the face. But hopefully, enough of our people will really reflect on his journey, because this was so blatant. We express our regrets, but we ain't sorry. Sorry, not sorry. And that's why I say it was a big miss for us, family. It was a big miss, well, not for us, but for Tshisekedi. He missed the mark on this one. Because Africa is not looking to go backwards. And some of these, the decision has already been made. The karma has already been given, written out. They've had 50, 60, 70, however many years to balance the scales, to show their remorse. And to be honest, right now, family, it's out of our hands because we're in the season of justice and we're in the time where karma comes back. We're in the time of the full circle. What goes around comes around. So even if he was to give an apology, it's too little too late, and we didn't even get it anyway. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Definitely, family, consider supporting the Dr. Mumbi show and on Patreon, family. If you're thinking of relocating to the motherland, we also have another Patreon called Karibu Nyumbani, which basically means welcome home in Kiswahili, where we have a library of shows which talk about the relocation journey, what to look out for, and how to best prepare. Definitely check out our podcasts. And join us there. We will be going more in depth with our podcasts in the future, discussing things that we can't discuss on these platforms. But until then, family, tuko pamoja.